Are we good?
All good, yep.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Annapolis Board of Appeals regular virtual meeting for August 4th, 2020. Meeting is being broadcast on the City of Annapolis YouTube channel. My name is Bob Gallagher, and I'm the chair of the Board of Appeals. Following the city's policy during the pandemic emergency, this virtual meeting allows the public to observe the meeting through the video link, and the public also has the opportunity to submit written testimony through an online submittal process available on the City of Annapolis website Form Center. I think you'll find a link to that in the published agenda. So we'll start by asking our recorder, Tammy Hook, to call the roll, please.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Chen,
Here.
Mr. Walsh,
Here.
Mr. Dews,
Here.
Mr. Burnett, Mr. Zazali.
Here.
All right, Christian, you're hiding from us. We can't see you.
I just couldn't get my camera. I was having camera issues. As somebody has to have camera issues, or it isn't a Board of Appeals meeting.
All right. Okay, we've got a quorum, and we'll take a look at the agenda. Have members of the board had a chance to look at the agenda, and do they have any changes, corrections, suggestions?
No.
All right, we'll move ahead then. Before we actually take up the first item on the agenda, a special exception, let me go over a couple of notes about our virtual format. The people that you see on the screen are the members of the Board of Appeals. And do we have counsel for the board on yet? Cheryl Wood, she's in dark mode. Counsel for the board. When the case is called, the applicants, representatives and representatives of the city responsible for the case will also appear on the screen. Also participating in the meeting by audio only are our recording secretary, Tammy Hook, one or more folks from the city managing the technical aspects. I think we've got Ryan working with us this evening. Also participating by audio, we may have other representatives of the city, including Joelle Braithwaite, Assistant City Attorney and Counsel to the Department of Planning and Zoning. And sometimes we have other members of the Planning and Zoning staff. We ask everyone but the members of the board to mute themselves except when they're speaking. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please let us know and unmute yourself, and I'll call on you to speak. As I mentioned earlier, written public testimony is accepted through the online Form Center. Testimony submitted up until noon today would have been made available to the members of the board and included in the record. My understanding is we don't have any. In order that the public has an opportunity to provide testimony on any matters that arise tonight, the record will remain open and the hearing continued until our next meeting, which will be August the 19th. Any additional public written testimony received up to noon on that day will also become part of the record and forward to the members of the board and the other parties. Public testimony entered in the record will also be available for public review online in the city's eTrackIt platform, accessible from the city's website. I think there's also a link to that on the agenda. So first item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from the meeting of July 7th. The members of the board had a chance to review the minutes.
Yes.
Any corrections or suggestions?
Just those that the chair has already previously recommended.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. Thanks very much. The first substantive item on the agenda is public hearing and special exception 2020-003. So I'll ask Ryan to bring in the parties to that case and our staff members who are involved in that case.
Oh,
Mr.
All right.
Gallagher,
Well,
I'd like to point out that Andrew Burnett has joined the meeting. So,
Welcome, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
and
Yes,
everyone,
I
We're
believe
not
everyone
doing
on this agenda item should be here as well.
the findings on 110, which was, we're going to do, not doing those?
Yeah, after this one.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Okay. All right. So Jackie, are you introducing the special
I
exception?
am introducing it. So the first public hearing on the agenda for tonight is a special exception application by St. Paul's Lutheran Church, who is the property owner, and they own the church at the corner of Farragut and Roe Boulevard. And they are leasing a portion of their premises to the Chestertown Academy of Annapolis to establish a private school. The use category is private school for grades K through 12. However, I believe that, as the applicant will explain to you, they're actually going to be limiting it to grades 9 through 12. There have been 2 previous special exceptions granted to St. Paul's to operate preschools in the same area of the church where this applicant proposes to operate his school.
Okay. And do we have someone representing the applicant who would like to tell us why this is so important?
I would. Ron George. if I might.
Hey, Ron.
Hey. I'm Ron George. I volunteer and serve as the Executive Director of Chesterton Academy of Annapolis. It's something I dearly believe in. I hadn't planned for it, but my son decided to go there, and he graduated this past year. The school started a couple of years ago. It was the 14th Chesterton Academy in the country. Next year, we expect there probably be 30. They've all been successful in teaching in classical education. And as was just said, it's really just grades 9 through 12. The purpose of the application to the city is to seek a special exception to use the property to house students 9 through 12 in pre-existing classrooms. A special exception for that use in the R1 zoning district is required, as you know, by the city code. The city council had granted a special exception to St. Paul's Lutheran Church in 1985 for daycare center use, but that lapsed in 2005. In 2009, the Board of Appeals found that substantial evidence existed to grant another special exception subject to special conditions. This approval also eventually lapsed. St. Paul's is now looking to reapply once more. Chesterton Academy will be using the classroom wing of the complex for the school. The education program will have a limited enrollment between 30 to 60 students. The main hours of use will be between 8:40 a.m. and 3:15 p.m. In preparation for this hearing, I have sent written testimony and notification. Sent written notification of the hearing to all parties with a financial or vested interest in the property within 200 feet of the property boundaries, and to Alderperson Fred Payon, who represents the ward for which this project is planned, and to Scott Gibson, the head of the Admiral Heights Residents Association, as well as to businesses and state offices that are within the 200-foot boundary. I have individual receipts from the post office as proof of each one that was mailed. As soon as the pictures, as shown in the pictures sent to the city on July 18th, I posted the required sign on the property, easily readable from the road, in order to alert the public to this hearing. We have also included to the planning and zoning staff proof of purchasing a notice of hearing ad in the Capital newspaper, which ran on July 20th, 2020. The City of Annapolis Department of Planning and Zoning has found this project is in compliance with special exception standards. We have noted that the new school will not be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, morals, convenience, or general welfare. They found the school operates during working hours on weekdays 10 months a year. The use has enough on-site parking to fulfill its parking requirements. Thirdly, this is an existing building that meets all applicable zoning requirements. Fourth, the existing utilities and access roads are adequate. Fifth, the existing parking lot provides an adequate parking facility on site for any vehicles which may be associated with the use of the educational program, including vehicles to be parked by teachers as well as parental visitors. No street parking is required. There will be no bus transportation. All students will participate in a daily carpool. There are no changes to the existing St. Paul Lutheran Church that have anything to do with lot dimensions, setbacks, heights, lot coverage, floor area ratio, or open space. The planning and zoning staff, after reviewing all of the applicant's exhibits for compliance for special exception standards and based on their evaluation, the staff has recommended approval subject to standard conditions of which Chesterton Academy and St. Paul's will abide. We have a close working relationship with St. Paul's, and they've been very, very helpful. And we're going to make sure we protect their privacy and their space and ours also. We will be following all the standards of the COVID-19 distancing. We will be using 6 classrooms, and there will be an office, and it's all on that bottom floor. Of the 6 classrooms, they are divided by a divider wall. So if the class is a little bit on the larger side, which would be 6 to 8 students, we could open it up. So it'd be a 30-foot square room. Most of the classes are small because that is what's really needed to be able to have this kind of great books program and Socratic discussions. And with that, I ask you to please accept. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Questions from the board?
Ron, just out of curiosity, by classical education, is it similar to what St. John's has in terms of a curriculum at a high school level?
It is, it very much is. The greatest thing about it is it's in every subject. And so they're learning through history, and it's very similar. It really is. We have a good relationship with St. John's also, and we use their counsel often. As I said, it is one of a network across the nation, and we follow the same bylaws and everything. So we're not trying something that hasn't been tried before.
Anyone else? Christian?
Yeah, hi, Christian Zali. Hey, Ron, just out of historical curiosity, I am a resident of Admiral Heights, and my house is on one of the maps. And I've lived here for 23 years. When was the last time it was used as educational in the traditional sense in the lower level?
Well, they continue to use it for Sunday school.
Yeah, my daughter went there for a number of years for Sunday school, but as a traditional non-religious based education, traditional school, was it? It said, because your note says that the lower level was built in 1967, was used as an educational facility. Are you saying, has it ever been a school or just the Sunday school? Is that what you mean? It is being used as an educational.
It is. It's been used as an educational. I'm forgetting what the other program was, but it was also used to help people, understand better ways to help themselves and their family.
So it was never really a school. This is an all new endeavor for the facility.
It was used as a preschool, Christian.
Yeah, it was used for preschool.
Right.
Yeah.
The Board of Appeals granted a special exception in 2009, I think it was, for a preschool there, and it was when it was for the Head Start preschool.
Head Start. That was.
And they were located there, I think, for several years while they were having a new facility built.
Gotcha. And had that was a year before I joined the board.
That was when that playground was built.
And had that use, would they have been allowed to operate this new proposed plan had that variance not lapsed or use not lapsed? Or
It's really a different use category. I mean, it's just a different type of we didn't really get into the dynamics. I didn't really get into analyzing that, but I think it's a separate use category.
Understood.
It just
Okay.
requires, it has similar, obviously building and fire code requirements, but
Sure.
that use did lapse.
All right. I don't want to linger on that point too long. I saw that in the notes, there was a reference to being used. I was curious as to if it was ever actually a school. Because I guess I should admit that I know the building, I know the property, I know the rooms down there. I've been in all of them. I have no no prejudice one way or the other. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay.
I did have one question. Ron, I saw it's only a possible expansion to 60 students, only 30 students right now. One of the recommendations was to stagger the dropping off, the picking up of kids. How are you guys going to do that?
Well, one thing is that it's always been, they've always met at St. John's Church. I'm sorry, St. John's. St. John Newman Church, right there off Dubois Street and in North Bestgate Road. And they go to the church service there in the morning. And then they carpool over. And so you really don't have that many cars. And we do stagger it some, so there's not going to be any line of cars there. The way you can pull into that area and out of it is very easy. And also the time frame, it's a little after the big rushes and things, and it's early enough in the afternoon before the evening rush starts.
What time was the start?
The first students should be getting there after their morning service, about 8:45.
Nadine?
I don't have any questions.
Jackie or Ron, you say you'll probably start with 30 students and limit at 60. Are we making the 60 limit a condition?
Well, I think, I'm sorry, Jackie, I think.
I really hadn't planned on, I think what will limit their enrollment will be, in addition to COVID, is going to be what is allowed under the building and fire code. But so I would suggest, I don't think we need to have a limit, but it was evaluated for those.
Well, what's the limit under the fire code?
It's really probably not even fire code, Bob. It's probably toilet. Well, it is a church, so I don't know what toilets they're allowed to use upstairs or down. But yeah, it'll be a whole myriad of codes: fire, ADA, bathroom. They'll combine to come up with the lowest number permissible or the maximum number permissible, and that'll be the architect's responsibility to determine, not code enforcement.
And Jay Schwartz is their architect, and he is raising his hand.
Oh, hi, Jay.
Hi, Christian. By strict fire code, that lower floor, they're allowed a total of 117 people. That's the fire code egress requirements, and the bathrooms support that. So that is, 18 students or people per classroom, and that's not what is being proposed, but that is what is allowed. And one other point is the parking lot is currently striped for 36 cars for the drop-offs, for the stacking, however the morning works. The parking lot is large enough for 36 cars as it's currently striped. And anything else I can answer, I'm happy to.
So let me ask you about the traffic. So Ron tells us that you got people carpooling in from the church in the morning, but I assume their parents will be picking them up there at night. Is that right?
Well, some of the kids will be brought back to the other church, to their car there, because we're only enough, the students. And yes, some parents will be picking up and carpooling.
And so, Jackie, you all have considered whether there's an issue with, if you go to 100 students, people trying to turn left there at, evening rush hour, coming out of the driveway and turning left?
Well, we evaluated this for the stated capacities that were identified in the application, which was the 30 to 60. So I would say.
Then don't we want to make that a condition?
Well, the thing with St. Paul's is that there is a second floor. And we're hoping that if we do grow a little over 60 while we're looking for that next place, that would be allowed.
Well, if you wanted to expand it even physically within the space, beyond the parameters of what's being evaluated in this application, that would require you to come back and amend the special exception anyway. So I think that we really need to, and I point taken, Bob, that but they are limited to only using the space, the floor that was identified in the application.
And Bob, I will, as a quarter century resident of that left, a right is a perfectly valid way to get out of that neighborhood and back to the highway system as well, right? I mean, the whole world goes to West, half the world goes to West Street or left on Taylor. It is not a, this is not a, we've faced many traffic decisions on this board where really there was only one legitimate way out of any planned special exception, and this is not that case. They can just as easily make a right and get everywhere that the left can get.
Okay.
No political position there either.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions.
Jay wants to add one last thing.
Thank you. One comment. There is, within the parking lot, there is stacking for about 18 cars. So it means the entire school pickup is not going to be stuck on Farragut.
Okay.
It may be stuck in the parking lot, but they're not stuck on Farragut.
And
All
it
right.
was used as a preschool before, so there was, there were stacking, all of that stacking issue would have been addressed when that was done.
Okay.
How much
I
staff-
don't really see this technically as a change in terms of the dynamics of how it operates from what we previously approved there, even though it's a different use category.
Michael?
How much staff do you have, Ron, that you expect servicing your current 30, and how much would you expect that 60?
In teachers, because they're not all teaching at once, but there's probably to be 4 going at the same time.
In time?
Then you'd have someone in the office, a couple administrators. I don't think it'll go much over that. So I
So
could be-
possibly talking a half dozen to 8, maybe no
Well,
more
I
than
think when
cars.
we looked into the parking, I think it shows that overall, for the people who are actually at the school, students, teachers, administrators, I think we get 10 spaces. And that was what was considered easily workable.
Okay.
And Ron, are you, your contractual arrangement with the landlord, are you prime tenants for the lower level or are you subtenants to the church above?
No, just that wing of it, although we can use the cafeteria once in a while.
But you have an executed lease to use the space with somebody, I assume, right? Pending this approval?
With somebody?
Yeah,
sorry.
who would your lease be with?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's with the board of the church.
And how long is that lease for? Would it be for?
It's indefinite. We just have to pay the deposit before the next semester starts at a certain time before that. And
So it's not a 10-year or it's just a 1 year at a time or perpetual?
yeah, it's 1 year at a time. We're just gonna take it that way in case they have second thoughts or, whatever.
Okay, good enough.
And the church was a co-applicant in this
Yeah.
for this
Okay.
project.
All right, we thank you, Jackie and Ron and Jay. And as we noted at the outset, we have to continue the hearing until August 19th and give the public another opportunity to comment. On the 19th, we expect to close the hearing and make a decision.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, so let's go with the SPCA extension first, shall we?
Okay, so we need to bring several people into the meeting. Ms. Andrew Price and I'm sorry, Laura, is her name Laura? The woman from there she is, Kelly Brown, president of the SPCA. So Kevin Scott was the project planner on the SPCA project. He's on vacation this week, so I said that I would answer any questions that you might have about their extension request, but we did send you a packet of information. They've had one previous extension request, and this is their second one, and I think that they're well prepared to explain to you why they need a second extension request.
We've got a pretty good explanation, but we'll see if any of the members of the board have any questions.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Jackie, but this is actually the first special exception and
First.
variance extension request that we've filed for. The
Yeah.
approval was on August 14th of
Oh,
2019
I'm sorry.
for 1 year. So
Yeah,
Just wanted to
I
clarify.
misunderstood then. I am so sorry.
Bob, I think I don't want to speak out of turn, but isn't this chairman's discretion for the first? Do we even?
You know, I took a quick look at the rules and I couldn't, that was my impression too, and I couldn't find it. But I like to be inclusive, so if
It's in the
anyone
code
has,
that you have to approve it.
anyone have any questions or reservations about approving it?
Well, we ought to hear it for the record, the justification, and then we can make a educated, informed decision.
All right.
We can allow you to make an educated, informed decision. Then we can vote on it. You make the decision and we'll vote on it.
All right, Kelly, do you want to tell us about it?
Kelly, sorry, you're muted still.
Kelly, you need to, there you go.
That's okay. I had the dogs barking, so I was trying to make sure.
That's for authenticity, I know. Good move.
Right, exactly. You got to see all the fur and the whole reason why we're here. I'm actually gonna let Andrew speak to it's all about the variance and us having to make some changes. I mean, after we received the letter, there was some suggestions, obviously, for the noise control, things like that. So we made some changes there, along with the stormwater management, and I know that Andrew would do a much better job at describing those details for you, if you would like.
Gracefully said.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Kelly. So the first consideration that we wanted to tell you about is that there is a stream remediation project that is kind of happening partially on the SPCA property, and then kind of along that whole tributary to Back Creek. It encompasses more than just the area on the SPCA property. So that is a project that has recently moved forward in development. And that was not something that we had considered as a part of the special exception and variance plans and the site design review. However, those improvements do need to be incorporated and shown, and our storm drain outfall needs to be updated to reflect the improvements that are going to happen as a part of that stream remediation. So that's part of the reason why there have been delays in getting the permits that are required to establish the special exception and the variance. The other consideration is, as Kelly said, there were recommendations from the board and from the community that noise mitigation in particular, and there were also some other factors that needed to be taken into account as a part of the architectural design. So those design changes have also caused a bit of delay from when the variance and special exception were approved to now. And I also want to just say that these changes are not going to affect the factors that went in to either the variance approval, which was for steep slopes and disturbance within the buffer, that those numbers won't be changed. The special exception criteria for approval, those are all the same as well. So these are minor design changes to incorporate the stream remediation project and additional architectural considerations.
Sounds good to me. Anything else anyone would like to know?
Just to make sure, Andrew, it's a 6-month extension you're requesting, not a full year?
Yes, so the special exception and variances by code can be extended for 6 months at this time.
Okay, well, on the authority of Christian, I'll exercise my authority as chairman and approve the request for extension. And I look forward to seeing you put this wonderful project.
Bob, I think actually on extension requests, the code requires that the Board of Appeals, I'm not sure how it conveys. The code requires that you vote to approve an extension request.
Motion I motion to accept Bob's recommendation to allow the extension.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you very much, Kelly and Andrew.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank
Now we'll talk about special exception. What is it? Here we go. For 18 Church Circle.
And we are going to request to have this continue to the next meeting. There was previously an extension request approved on this project that was approved on January 7th, 2020. And there has been a building permit issued for the project. And we're discussing currently with the Office of Law the impact of the state of emergency and COVID on this second extension request. So we would request that we just continue the discussion on it to August 19th.
So
What-
so the other members of the board will know everything that I know. One of the issues as to our authority to extend this one is when the special exception was established.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to be defined in the code. The city has had a longstanding interpretation of it, and counsel for the applicant has a different interpretation. So I think we probably ought to hear from both counsel for the city and the applicant before we decide this one. So that's why Jackie suggested putting it off till the 19th.
Well, what are the consequences of the difference of opinions on the dates, Bob? Why is it important?
It's important because if they haven't established it, they're out of luck.
It expired.
Right.
Got it.
So they understood, if I remember correctly, because Gary was counsel at that time, his usual position was that when the opinion was issued as opposed to when we actually voted on it.
No, it's more complicated than that. The position of the Department of Planning and Zoning has been that the special exception has not been established until they've commenced the use.
And but the request is still valid even if we don't hear it tonight, because the code says that a written request for each extension is filed while the prior grant is still valid. So we don't really need to discuss it tonight and make a decision. It doesn't impact whether or not you can grant a second extension request. We just require, so they had their first extension request that was approved on January 7th, 2020, and that would have expired 6 months later on 7/7, but this extension request that was filed prior to that 6-month date. That's, and they did submit a second extension request, but now there seems to be a further conversation about whether or not they actually need a second extension request, and that's
Sounds-
just occurred in the last few days. So I would like the opportunity to discuss that with the Office of Law, because
Understood.
all the information was advertised. It was in the package that was sent to you. So
All
not
right,
prepared to
we'll let-
discuss it
we'll
tonight.
let the lawyers earn their money on this one.
Yeah. But that's good background. I think we're all a little more prepared to hear it.
Now we've got an opinion to approve and 110 compromise, is that right?
This is
Faucets.
Phillips.
The Phillips application, yeah.
Everyone had a chance to look at it?
Yeah,
All right. Shall we authorize Jackie to sign it on our behalf?
authorized on my behalf, sure.
Yep, I'm in.
I authorize.
So authorized.
Andrew?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Did Christian say anything?
He was second.
I'm taking screenshots of you saying yes. That's my new thing.
All right, we're good.
I'm going first century AD. Thumbs up.
Thank
Typical
you.
Italian style.
And thank you to our new counsel to the board for drafting this opinion in such a timely fashion,
And it's a lovely job too.
and a lovely job.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any other business to come before the board tonight? All right, well, thank you all very much. And Christian, you do the honors.
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute, before you do, I forgot to mention that we need to put some of the things in the record, like the staff report for the first application.
Yeah, put that whole thing in as Exhibit A.
Okay. And do we need to put the letters for the extensions in the record as well?
I would do it so that someone who's reading the transcript and they want to go back and find out what we were talking about will be able to do that. So make them each an Exhibit A to whatever you want to call that.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
All right, everyone stay safe and good night.
And I'm hoping that our next meeting on August 19th can match this in time. This was 35 minutes. That
Yeah.
should be your goal.
Thanks, Jackie.
Bob, you still don't have me beat. You got some work to do if you want to beat my hearings, but it's close. You're getting better.
Let's see if we can do it on the 19th, guys.
I'm working on it.
Usain Bolt of